Hello. Go to this timestamp if you have no interest in the history of Chicle or indeed in me personally.
I mentioned offhand in my Mexican Empire video that Santa Anna, the Mexican dictator, fled Mexico to New York after being deposed from power, where he subsequently helped to invent modern chewing gum. This was just a strange bit of trivia in a time full of weird connections and happenings, but for some reason it really stuck in my mind, and I spent a substantial portion of time thinking about chewing gum, which led me to research chewing gum and its surprisingly influential history. So for this subscriber milestone, I thought I would do something a bit fun and show you how chewing gum used to be made. One might even say, how it used to exist. So, in terms of chewing gum's history, gum began with the sap of the sapodilla tree, a plant native to Central America. This tree can be cut open and this sap flows out and can be collected, and when heated, it takes on an elastic quality that makes it good for chewing on. This sap, when collected, is called chicle. Mesoamericans chewed on this for centuries, but it stayed very much a regional habit until the mid-19th century, when Santa Anna was forced to flee Mexico, and he brought with him a supply of chicle. He intended to use this to start a business in America and raise funds for invading Mexico. Yes, chewing gum began with a plot to invade Mexico. In any case, Santa Anna didn't even want to make gum. He originally intended to try and turn chicle into an alternative source of rubber. Which might sound weird, but I promise once you see what chicle is actually like, making that leap isn't so outlandish. So, working with a local American, the two spent ages trying to make it stable enough to use in tires, but couldn't. Eventually though, having an enormous supply of the stuff and nothing to do with it, they took a cue from its original use and started chewing on it. Then the American had another idea. He started coating small pieces of it in sugar and flavoring, and began selling it in New York. Though there had been chewing gum companies before this was by far the most successful, and with the new technologies of the Industrial Revolution, it was able to be mass-produced. This immediately became a much bigger business than anyone expected, as the gum was a hit and made him very wealthy. Soon, competition sprang up all over the country, competing for market share and chicle supply. For decades, this chicle was sourced almost entirely from Central American plantations. Bear in mind, this was the Banana Republic period, and gun companies of all things exerted enormous influence on Central American governments to provide favorable chicle conditions. However, by around the 1950s, things were changing. Chicle was hard and slow to produce, as production was limited by the output of trees. It also had to be transported, which was expensive. And finally, the region began to house significant socialist movements that protested foreign domination and poor conditions of the plantations. The combination of these factors, combined with advances in modern chemistry, meant that chicle had become outdated in the eyes of most gum manufacturers, and they switched to synthetic oil derivatives. Which is why almost all modern chewing gum is actually made of plastic. However, there are still a few companies selling chicle-based gum, which means there are still a few places selling chicle, which takes us to this video. This is chicle. It's freeze-dried to remain solid in transit. I had it imported from Mexico. And now I will show you how to make this piece of, essentially wood, into chewing gum.
So, first things first is you get your chicle. I'm using 30 grams, which will give us approximately 100 grams of chicle. And you want to dump it in a tray that you're okay losing, because chicle is the worst material I've ever worked with, and it will ruin everything it touches, and it's impossible to clean, and it never leaves. Okay, next you turn the oven on and you set it to about 70 degrees or whatever that is in Fahrenheit. And you put your chicle in. Them's good eatins.
And then you leave the chicle inside the oven until it starts to resemble sticky date pudding. After that, it's going to break down into a big sticky puddle, which is exactly what you want. It looks delicious, but you mustn't eat it yet.
Just to demonstrate something to you, I want to show you just how elastic this is and why it will ruin your life if it goes wrong. That's how it's coming along. So this stick, this chicle poking stick, was not always a stick. This used to be a spatula. but I made the mistake in one of my practice batches of putting the spatula in the chicle, and the chicle doesn't let go. So this spatula is now irreparably broken, and it is now just a poking stick. Even in death it serves. Okay, so the difficulty for me here is that it's going to cool down so quickly that it very quickly becomes difficult to manage. So I've got to kind of mix in the sweetener and the softener before it can heat up. Cool down. So the first thing we'll do, mix in half the xylitol. It's going to seem like a lot. You have to do this quick sticks because this is already hardening. Okay, I think we've gotten about as far as we can with that, so I'm going to put it back in. So for a sweetener, I'm going to be using xylitol, which is a natural sweetener, like sugar but not. You might be asking why I'm not just using sugar. Sugar's very fatty, and xylitol seems to be the accepted standard for making gum. If you're doing it at home and you want to use sugar, you can. I'm not your dad. I'm just telling you I'm using xylitol. As a side note, this is very toxic to dogs, so don't feed any gum to your dog. As a softener, I'm using glycerin, which is glycerin. I don't really know how to expand on that. Not usually used in my cooking, but it's an industrial component that's apparently widely accepted. Without this, it's really hard to eat. However, if you put in too much of it, it's going to become too soft and it will choke you to death. So it's about finding the right balance of glycerin. You want about 2%. So what I'm doing here is trying to mix it while it's still in the oven, because this is how you keep it pliable. You might be thinking, well, you could knead it like dough. Yep, tried that. Sticks to your hand and immediately hardens up again. I did try using a hairdryer on the bench to keep it pliable. That kind of worked, but just trying to mix it in the oven is the best way I can tell.
You can see here that I'm mixing the glycerin into the chicle base in order to soften it. I'm using about a lid full of glycerin. This is not an exact measurement, as I'm sure you realize.
And then fold. Mix in what's left of the xylitol. And as you can see, the softener is actually working. Or hopefully you can see that. It's already more pliable for now. After this, we've added enough sweetener, and it can go back in until it's melted down again. And then we can add the flavoring and the coloring. And if we don't add the coloring, it's going to look like wood. Okay, we're at the final step. I'm going to get it out of the oven, and we're going to add the food coloring to make it look less like wood and more like apple flavored gum. And I'm going to add the apple flavoring to make it taste like apple rather than xylitol flavored chicle.
Just as soon as I can untangle my fingers from the chicle base, I'm going to put it straight back in the oven to turn this big pile of goo into a big pile of stuff that looks a bit like toxic sludge.
And that is essentially it done. Now we just need to wait for it to cool and we can cut it up. I'll be the first to admit it does look a little bit like sludge. But once it's cut into a friendly shape, I'm sure it will be more appealing. It looks disgusting.
It sure does. However, once I've cut it out and let it cool a bit and made it into this much more palatable piece of gum, it doesn't look half bad. And that is how you take chicle and turn it into gum in a very primitive form. Thank you for watching, and of course, a very big thank you to the 7,500 people who have chosen to subscribe to me. That's actually an enormous amount. So thank you very much. 10-year-old me would be very proud.